Assassin's Creed 3.
Oh, digging that music. So, yo, keep this, Rach. Recently got a chance to check out Assassin's Creed 3. It wasn't hands-on, but I got a preview of what we can expect to see in the next Assassin's Creed 3. And let me tell you something. It is
Tell me, Blake.
It is quite surprising. I gotta say, I did not believe that this was taking place in colonial America when I first saw the artwork and the concept stuff that was on the internet a few weeks ago. But then I got invited to the Ubisoft offices during GDC to actually, you know, see some screens and watch some videos and like get a little bit more in depth with the game. So yes, it does in fact take place in colonial America, and you play as a dude called Connor, who is half white dude, half Native American.
Half white dude.
Half white dude, just some white dude. I'm not really sure what kind of white dude. Probably British, I'm guessing. But he could be Nova Scotian, or maybe you know, he was a Viking.
He looks
Like,
so fierce.
He does. Look at that.
He's serious.
This is. I love this picture over here. Alex Ross did that. Alex Ross, awesome comic book artist and just like caricature artist in general. So yeah, basically you go around colonial America.
We have a guest.
We have a guest.
Looking between us.
Oh, is that George Washington? What's up? Maybe George Washington should tell us about it. Oh yes, it's ever such an interesting game. You see, you go around assassinating people for me and other great revolutionaries in the war. And then you go through the wilderness and you do things like kill bears. You kill bears and you use the trees to, you know, sneak around, catch people off guard. At one point, we got to see a guy get a dart through the neck, and then there was a rope on the dart, and Connor jumped off the tree and hung the dude with the rope, which was probably the most gruesome murder I saw in it. And then he ran up on another guy and shot the dude in the head with his own musket.
Is there any scalping?
You know what? They showed a video where Connor did scalp somebody, but they have decided to take it out of the final version of the game. Yeah, they just, like, when you scalp somebody, you scalp them alive, and they just thought that it kind of ruined the character.
Well, then they could kind of fall down and bleed to death. So shooting somebody with their own musket is totally okay, but scalping them?
No, it looks awesome. All the combat looked superfluous. The wilderness thing.
The hell word was that?
Superfluous.
That's way beyond my vocabulary.
It looks smooth.
It looks damn good.
It looked damn good.
There we go. Right. I understand that.
The combat looks awesome. The new characters look awesome. You're going to get a chance to go through the wilderness and do combat in there. You're probably, I can almost guarantee you'll be using tracking skills at some point in this game. You know what? At one point there was a skirmish, like a Civil War skirmish, and you had to duck behind rocks and different barricades in between cannon fodder and lines of riflemen shooting at you, and then get behind the enemy lines and run up on the general and hack him to death. It's just like insanely impressive action for, especially Assassin's Creed is always kind of, I felt it's leaned more towards stealth than actual action-y combat.
Right,
although you can play it both ways, but this seems to really be just like upping the ante a little bit.
So instead of jumping from building to building, you're just kind of climbing trees like a little flying squirrel?
There are going to be cities. There will be cities. You will be climbing through buildings. At one point they showed Connor escaping from some guards by leaping onto some building tops, actually running through somebody's open windows to the other side of the building.
Interesting.
So yeah, cool little cinematic things like that. Nice little nuances and touches. It's looking really cool. We actually have an interview that we're going to roll now of me talking with somebody about the game. So let's check this out. So, you know, this last couple of weeks we've seen like more and more stuff come out about Assassin's Creed 3. We've learned that it kind of takes place during the American Revolution, like it starts before the American Revolution, but, you know, it carries on into it. And I gotta say, you know, I think a lot of people are kind of surprised by the context in which you've chosen for the new game, but also very, very intrigued.
Yeah, I think it's fun because I think when you're choosing a setting for the game, you know, we could go anywhere in history, anywhere in time, but you want somewhere that's relatively untraveled. You know, you don't want to go somewhere. You don't want to go to World War II. You know what I mean? There's been enough World War II games. You know, unless maybe we could think of something brand new to say about it. But I think you want to go somewhere that will surprise people and challenge people. So I think it's kind of cool that people are a bit taken aback.
How are you keeping it true to the franchise, yet at the same time like retooling it?
Yeah, well, I think that we know that the two fantasies we're engaging in are this idea of being an assassin on one hand, on the other half being kind of a tourist in time. So anytime you change the setting radically and you change the character radically, you get a lot of new stuff for free. You know what I mean? Like, well, what does it mean to be in 18th century America? So that's how we came up with the idea of saying, well, we should go to the frontier. You know, we should go out into nature. Nature was a big deal, and weather was a big deal. So you start to have these ideas emerge, and then obviously you take it back and you think, can we make this fun? Can we make it challenging? Can we pull it off? So things sort of fit naturally together.
Awesome. Now, one of the things we saw in the demo is you have to carry out missions in the middle of like epic war battles. Now, in the previous Assassin's Creeds, you've always been on the verge of war and you've been involved in some pretty intense battles. But this kind of feels like the first time you're really involved with the actual war itself instead of like on the outskirts of it. And the character seems to be a lot more aggressive.
Yeah, I think that we knew that in this setting, as soon as you say American Revolution, people think of battles. But we didn't want you to be part of the war. You know, it's not the fantasy of being a soldier, it's the fantasy of being an assassin. So while you'll be visiting these battles, you'll always have a secondary objective. So your goal at the Battle of Bunker Hill, as you saw, is to assassinate a specific guy. So you have a side goal, even though you get to live this feeling of being at Bunker Hill.
Awesome. Now, one of the things that I kind of noticed is there's a lot more, you're out in nature, so that, there's wolves, there's bears, there's deer and stuff like that. And you have the opportunity to skin them, which the game kind of reminded me a little bit of Red Dead Redemption. Was that game an influence on you guys while you were working on this?
Well, we've been fortunate enough to be working on it a long time. So I joined the team in January of 2010. So when we started out, we thought, all right, if we're going to do this frontier as one of the maps, obviously there are still cities, there's still Boston, there's still New York. But if we're going to do this big wilderness section, what are we going to put in it? What's the crowd of the wilderness? And our answer was basically animals. So we thought at the time, well, this is great. No one's done animals in an open world game before. And then of course a couple of months later, Red Dead ships, and it was my game of the year that year. Really, I loved that game. So I think any big open world game is influencing all the other big open world games to some extent. But we're going to take a very different tack. Like I know that when I go out into nature, I don't see a lot of bears because they tend to hear me coming a million miles away and leave. So we want the player to be more engaged in this notion of hunting and tracking and trapping, and sort of take that assassination sort of idea and apply it to animals.
Who is that sexy, sexy man with that sexy, sexy beard?
I don't know. I've never seen that weirdo before.
Ooh, that is one good-looking beard.
You know what else is really cool about Assassin's Creed?
Assassin's Creed
I know.
3.
It's National Cleavage Day, so you got to throw in some ass in there too.
Some cleavage and some Assassin's Creed.
But
3
Ubisoft announced that they are expecting Assassin's Creed 3 to be the best-selling game, best pre-order game in Ubisoft history. Which is pretty awesome.
That is pretty epic.
Right now, in the timeline where it's at now, it is already hitting higher marks than any of their other past games, and it's expected by June to have outsold or pre-sold Assassin's Creed Revelations.
Dang. So that was their last highest selling game, was the last Assassin's Creed game?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So Assassin's Creed is going to break Assassin's Creed's record?
Basically, yeah. And a lot of people, as even myself, said that Assassin's Creed 3 might be a little bit too soon. We've seen a lot of Assassin's Creed lately. Ubisoft also said Assassin's Creed 3 will have a 3-year life cycle.
Nice.
It's actually a pretty long time.
Yeah, well, does that mean that they're going to lay off all the in-betweens? We're not going to get, like, Assassin's Creed 3 Sisterhood?
I don't know, because this is Assassin's Creed 3, but it's actually, I believe, the 5th in the series.
Yeah, the Brotherhood and Revelations came between 2 and 3.
Right.
Yeah, and there was nothing in between 1 and 2, I believe.
No.
No. So, yeah, that would make this number 5.
Yeah.
Wow. 5 Assassin's Creed games, dang. It seems like such a young franchise, but it's definitely been a successful one.
Yeah, it has been pumping out kind of regularly, but I'm actually more looking forward to this one. I liked Brotherhood. I haven't played Revelations yet. I hear it's really good. I just haven't had time. I liked Brotherhood well enough, but Assassin's Creed 3 definitely looks a little bit more interesting and creative for me.
I was a little bit hesitant about the setting of Assassin's Creed 3, but then I really did like Red Dead Redemption a lot. And it's hard not to draw a few parallels between that, just with like the open wilderness and like the American old school setting and the whole like being able to kill wild animals and skin them and things like that.
Well, the only thing I didn't like about, like, even with Brotherhood was the whole jumping on buildings and stuff mechanics. It was cool and I knew what they were trying to do, but having come out of just having played Prince of Persia game, which does that exact thing really well, and then playing Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and it just didn't do the whole, look, I'm jumping on buildings thing as well as Prince of Persia did. So that's kind of why I was frustrated with it.
So you were trying to play the other game, like your brain was still in the old game.
That happens to me all the time. It's so frustrating.
That's like the curse of the gamer, is like you can only be good at one game at any given time.
Exactly. I was playing Mass Effect 3 multiplayer all the time, and I tried to jump in some Left 4 Dead on my live chat, and I kept using Mass Effect controls, which is totally opposite of Left 4 Dead.
Dude, even just going from like Grand Theft Auto 4 to Saints Row 3.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. It's